Welcome to Drinks Coach. This is a short one and a cool one. Why am I doing this? My dear friend Kirsty Savoury, aka Comms, sent me a bottle of this. I just ran and said, God, send me one, because she mentioned this. Metaxa 12 star. Come on to that in a minute. My dear friend Mark sent me this, or at least I got him a bottle of really nice brandy. You know how much I like my brandy from South Africa, right? Well, I met him in a dark brewery somewhere in the South London, and mate, finally putting this on the show. Your lovely Tsipouro. So Mark Deemer tried very hard to import some wine. I think he still does, actually, to be fair. I'm not saying tried very hard. He was successful at it. Importing wines from Crete and generally Greece. The reason why I'm inspired to do this show, I've just been to the Hallgarten Coterie Holdings tasting in London, which is one of the big kind of merger super group wine merchants and wine importers in this country. I've seen some that, seen the very, very best this week. Saw Hallgarten, seen Bibendum and Nottinghamshire tomorrow and the day after. But we've also seen Berkman and John E. Fells. Now, those 4 or 5 names put together may not mean anything to those people that are not in the trade, but that means me going out and wearing out some serious shoe leather, and I would have tasted somewhere in the region of 500 or 600 wines in the last week and a bit. Not because I could, but because I had to, I think. And I really wanted the content of the show to be stepped up this year. And I want to show some unusual things, but I want to be better informed. I want to be more on the pulse of what's going on. And here we have 2 unusual after-dinner Greek drinks. Again, going back to the Hallgarten thing, Steve Daniels, buying director for the company, in charge of all buying for this very large business, was the person that kind of opened our eyes, squeegeed our eyes clean to the possibilities of drinking Greek wine. And he's been before. He was the first person to bring Chilean wine and was pretty much the first person to bring Argentinian wine to the masses, as being head buyer at the great, now sadly departed Oddbins, where I started my wine career as I actually been to university before that, but I started at Alton Oddbins selling wine and learning about all this marvellous stuff. Steve Daniels has pretty much single-handedly created the UK market for Greek wine in this country, and thereby the world, because people look at what works in the UK and tend to follow suit. Greece is probably, sorry Steve, I didn't say actually, but I'll say probably, the most exciting wine region in the world right now. There are great varieties that have been chugging away for millennia that we're only just now discovering for our palates over here. Or there are Greek winemakers who have been making wines a certain way and now have been exposed to the panoply of winemaking around the world and have reinvented certain things and created greatness out of great varieties which you otherwise used to just basically clean the toilet with. There's a great variety called Savatiano. Savatiano is famously known, if you go and read the books, and even now if you do the qualifications, the WSET qualifications, it will say it's a workmanlike, just sort of digger grape for making Retsina, which is that Greek wine which they flavour with a bit of pine resin to mimic the pine resin they used to seal the old amphora with, which would protect the wine from flies. So you're drinking Brovat Blue pine disinfectant, basically. Some Retsinas are better than others. Some Savatianos are better than others. And at that show, I tasted some. I will get these samples off you, Steve, and we'll do a show, shall we? But I drank Savatiano, which would have made a U-turn, mate. Absolutely extraordinary quality. Don't know why I've put an Australian accent in there. But let's go back to this. I've already talked shit for 5 minutes. On this side, we have a Tsipouro. Come on to it in a minute. It's called Dark Cave and it's 5 years old. And my dear friend Mark Deemer bought one for me in duty free in Athens. If I wanted to buy that in the UK, it'd be £80. £80 is something you've never heard of. Pretty steep, right? But trust me, believe it is pretty amazing. Mark, do I keep some of this for you? I think I should, shouldn't I? It's really, really, really delicious. And on this side, we've got a thing that I think is way more familiar to most people, certainly on package days, because if you were sitting there in the sunlight with your sunburn on your face, eating your steak with your lovely other partner, the restaurant manager will go, "Oh, I hope you had a nice evening. Let me get 2 Metaxas for this table." And Metaxa is the brandy of Greece. It's the Greek brandy. It's an iconic thing. But it's made in a very unusual way, and this is sort of tip of the tree. It's top of the tree, and I wanted to talk about it momentarily. But we'll come back to this. Tsipouro, or Tsipouro, Tsipouro, Tsipouro. It's not quite the same as grappa or eau de vie de grappe, but it is basically a distillate made from grapes. The key point is it's distilled to about 45% alcohol. So it keeps a lot of the flavour that came from the original juice it's made from, or the pomace, which is grapes and juice mixed together, which can be distilled all in one hit to get more extract and more aldehyde. There are 2 types. There is the neutral Tsipouro, and there's the flavoured Tsipouro. And flavouring a Tsipouro, you can do that in many ways, but most typically it's flavoured with aniseed. Yes. And I've been asked 100 times, is flavoured or aniseed flavoured Tsipouro ouzo? Well, they can taste very, very similar, and they taste almost identical if you're looking at poured Tsipouro against some premium ouzo. But ouzo is made from an agricultural natural spirit, and a spirit at 95%. So it's made from a neutral, rectified, clear spirit, not a spirit made from wine, where we're trying to keep some of the incumbent characteristics of the grape in the spirit. So it's kind of similar, and there are some aniseed Tsipouros are just divine. I would pick my favourite, and one of the larger premium producers would be Babatsim, and Babatsim also make a saffron flavoured Tsipouro. These sound very strange. When do you drink them? Well, you drink them in shots with a mezze. So you have a side plate with something on it, maybe a dolmades, a vine leaf, maybe some nuts or something, and you do, and it's kind of a part of the whole eating experience, which sounds kind of weird. But if you're in somewhere like Thessaloniki and you're on the beautiful Asia Blue Sea or the Med, and you're sitting there eating this wonderful, delicious Greek food, it would not be uncommon to have a glass of wine, but also do a couple of shots on the side, which sounds a bit brutal, but it's the way of things. It's just also a very Eastern European thing. I find also it stops mosquitoes from mauling me to death. So what? If you're in Bulgaria and you have a salad, they'll recommend a shot of rakia to go with the salad, and it happens a lot. So Tsipouro, what else could it be called? Well, in Crete it's called Tsikoudia, I think. It is a grappa, rakia in Bulgaria, raki in Turkey, arak in Lebanon. Arak is always made from really premium white wine distillates, and some of them are really magical, but mostly are aniseed. And also they have this in Spain, and it's a thing called orujo, which is called orujo, I think is how you pronounce it. So there you go. But also some of the best comes from Serbia and Northern Macedonia, where it's called Komovica, but then it's sold as rakia in Bulgaria. Everyone clear? So if you heard all of those names, I've missed one out. Hungary maybe. If I've missed out on any of these names, they're all the same thing, made slightly differently. But all I wanted to say was that Greece are really, really good at it. So I like ouzo, and aniseed is very good at staving off getting bitten in the summer. But it's also a delicious flavour, which really builds, so it's a flavour enhancer in some ways. I think if I have a little bit of ouzo, a shot of ouzo on the side with a glass of maybe wine or beer, and I have a Greek salad, the salad's a better salad because I've got the aniseed in the mix somewhere. Using my little Glen glass, could have been cleaner, that one actually. And this is called Dark Cave. Now, it's usually a rectified neutral spirit, but some can be aged, and this has been aged for 5 years in wood. The packaging's beautiful. It was sort of dark, smoky, very modern, almost like a large bottle of cologne, I think. But the Dark Cave, this was again, Mark, absolutely fantastic. How should I describe it? Well, let's have a taste. These are both 40% alcohol, so proper after dinner premium spirits, or let's call them holiday drinks. Okay. The nose is magic. It has a smell which reminds me doesn't remind me of Muscat. And there's a lot of Muscat in Greece, around Greece, islands of Greece, Muscat of Samos, which we'll come back to in a minute. But it's a wonderful aromatic, floral, cologne-like smell, almost like Gewürztraminer as a great variety. Lychee, rose petals certainly. But also here we've got a very well-measured complex because it's been aged in wood. It's almost like an oak-aged gin, like a Geneva. But we know it's made from grape. And actually this taste now, the taste gets more and more complex in the mouth. It starts to taste more and more brandy-like. God, that's so good. Shit, that's good. It's really, really amazing. So when you're in Greece, and I think that Greece is becoming as I've discovered recently, very, very much back in the fashion police of super premium, high net worth individual, super yacht, private jet kind of holidays. I think when in Rome, do you know what I mean? And you don't have to drink your stupid Hennessy XO and all the other malarkey. Find a really good, or talk to someone, ask for a really good Tsipouro with your coffee or the Greek coffee at the end. And there are some absolutely divine drinks. This wine's got a lift and a lightness that I think in the heat of an evening in Greece in summer would make much more sense than like a big heavy cognac, if you like. Mark, thanks, buddy. That's absolutely amazing. And I'm trying to keep hold of what's remaining in there. Call me. Okay, right. Moving on. Metaxa. So Metaxa, it comes in different bottles, and you can buy Metaxa 3 quite cheaply. There's Metaxa 3, there's Metaxa 5, there's Metaxa 7, and I think released not that long ago, about 2011-ish, Metaxa 12. Packaging's fantastic. This was all up to, it was like, when it's full it looks rather dramatic and wonderful because it's a dark kind of amber colour. But my wife likes it, so there's not much left. Sorry, Emma, but I've dobbed you in it. So Metaxa 12 star, what does that mean? It means that the base spirit, and it's based on an aged Greek brandy, is 12 years old. Metaxa 3 star, 3 years old, 5 star, 5 years old, 7 star. That's exactly what it means. That the base is made from a drink that old. So in here is a brandy from Greece, which is 12 years old, minimum, not average, minimum. So this is an exo brandy, effectively, from Greece. That's one of the 3 components of this drink. The next most important component of this drink is the glorious sweet dessert wine, like a aged Baume de Venise, like a Muscatel de Setúbal. You know how much I like that? The Muscats of Portugal, from the island of Samos, S-A-M-O-S. So Muscatel de Setúbal, or an Australian Muscat, whatever, or a Moscatel de Pantelleria, or, I don't know, there's plenty of places where they fortify Muscat. They add some of this incredible, wonderful aged brandy, the sweetness, of this dessert wine, to the brandy. So there are 3 components to this drink. One is brandy that's over 12 years old. Second is some really venerable and delicious Muscat wine. Thirdly, it's been aged for a year, on top of that, in barrels with dried Greek rose petals. Doesn't that sound delicious and romantic at the same time? Well, I'm here drinking it. It's really good. I don't know what to say about this, but the Tsipouro, as stunning as that was, that's a drink that's very hard to get in the UK, and it's pushing 100 quid. You can get very good Tsipouro, forgive me, for about £30, and that's what this costs on the shelf. Metaxa 12 star. If you've been a fan of Metaxa 7 star or 5 star and you brought it back from holidays because it reminds you of something, or you like making brandy sours because Metaxa 3 and 5 are really good at that, then I strongly recommend you buy this. And I think on the Whiskey Exchange, it's 32 quid or something, which I think is fantastic value for money. Think what you're getting. You're getting a drink that was made Well, a long time before people messed up the referendum. See you next time.